morning, Miss Kandyse McClure.
Thank you.
And of course, you're all awake, ready for this? Amazing.
Thanks.
We are amazing.
All three of you. More.
The room is pretty full for Sunday morning. Incredible. And there's more people coming in. Yeah. So what did you all do last night? Did you go out? Did you see anything? We went crazy. We had dinner.
Very nice, quiet dinner.
We all had dinner in the same place, but we didn't know it. I saw Kandyse, ships in the night, and I was having dinner with Jamie Murray at another table. No, you were there, which I was bummed about, because I haven't seen Lucy in so long. Pardon? I haven't seen you in so long. I know, since it, actually. Well, okay, we won't count how many years that is. Yeah.
Since that episode.
There were some great costumes out last night. You guys partied.
You've never been here before? Is this your first time?
So is it still Saturday night for anybody in here? Oh, there you go. That. I love it.
They're just trying to sleep.
Aaron Douglas would be proud of you. All right, we have a question over here. Oh, Saturday night's got a question.
This is for Lucy, since this is your first time here. I saw you at your first panel, and now that you've had a chance to get out there and experience a little bit, I was wondering what of the Dragon nightlife you did experience and what you thought of it.
I know. Well, it's quite hard for us to understand it because I got it. I am so in love with the density of kookiness here. People think that Comic-Con's crazy, but it's watered down by all sorts of network corporate business, you know what I mean? And I love that this is where it's at, and the questions are much more intricate, and somehow it's a kind of gentler environment, and I don't know why that is, but it is. And I'm totally curious about the parties, because Bruce Campbell and Ted Randy have been telling me some stories, and I want to know if it's true.
Yeah, come out with
They had to drain the pool at the hotel because there were too many naked people in it the night before. Voila! Like furry, there's like ears and tails and things at the bottom of the pool, fishing them out. Wow. I'm a little curious about the furry parties. Well, look forward to an invite. Last night there was no invite. I think that's going to change.
Yeah, we're going out tonight.
Next question.
The anticipation's killing us.
This is a question from Mr. Olmos. I was a big fan of Battlestar Galactica, and I was curious about you as an actor. Like, how did you prepare for such a role that's so pivotal show as Admiral Dama? Like, how you brought such gravitas to the part, and I want to know what inspired you and kind of what led you to act the way you did with that character.
Basically, it's a story, and then it's the writing of the story, because we can only do what's really written on the page. We can expound on it and improvise on it after we understand which way we're going. But if I was to say anything that prepared me, was the first script that I ever read by Ron Moore. It was monumental, or else I wouldn't have done the show. It really changed my whole perspective, because remember, we were coming out of 9/11, and it had only been maybe 14 months, 13 months since that had happened. So everybody's whole way of thinking had changed. And when you read what he was talking about with that perspective, all of a sudden the story became something that was much stronger. And if you remember the pilot, it was pretty intense, you know, and the silence were really radical. And we were faced with an incredible amount of radicalness in our real everyday life. Our whole system changed. And then for me to prepare for the character, the first thing I needed to do as soon as I read the thing was to find him. And I usually do that by music. So, of course, Bear wasn't around then yet or anybody like that. So we didn't know, nobody knew where the music was going to go. And I was very fortunate. Man, just talk about stroke of the gods of, you know, the lords of Kobol. They took me to a very interesting little record shop. It wasn't even a record shop. It was like an old hippie store, you know, with all the mints and all the incenses and all the little, you know, the dream catchers and, you know, a lot of the euphoric music of today, and world music, a lot of world music. And I walked in there, and it was just a small little place, and I didn't know where to start. And I walked in there, and I was walking around, wondering what, because I don't know that music really well. And I said, where is it? I mean, this is, you know, sometime in the future, right? Little did we know, okay, for those of us that really do, this is a game changer, guys. So if you haven't seen the series, do it, right? Little did I know that we were 200,000 years before today, you know. But for us, we were way advanced of this planet. But so anyway, I found the music there in a singer called Diva Pramal. And I found her album, and I gotta tell you, the moment I heard the album in the store, I put on this little machine, and they put the things, and I said, "Oh, mackerel!" What it was the oldest mantras known to humankind, over 5,000 years old, and she had placed them into music, and the music was more contemporary, and so I immediately said, "Boom! This is it." Old mantras done with a strong sense of the drums, and it was almost like listening to Phil Collins in the heat of the night.
That old hippie.
Yeah. But the sense of the drums and the way she did, the way that they had done their arrangements on these old mantras was spectacular. So I ended up grabbing that, and I went home, and I rented a house that looked like the inside of a spaceship. Serious. I mean, I found his space. I found the Dhamma space. And the curtains all worked automatically. And they were like, you could see forever, and you could see the stars and everything. And it was very modern, very, very modern, ultra modern. And they allowed me to rent the place, and that's saying a lot when they rent to actors. And so I started.
Because you know how we get out of it.
I started playing music, and I played the music on the set.
Yeah.
Every single, from the time we went for our costume changes to get measured, to the very first time we're going on the set to do a rehearsal before we started shooting. This is weeks before we started shooting. And then we started to, I would play it at our photo sessions. Mm-hmm. At beginning photo sessions, I would play it, I mean, constantly. I just like left it on in big speakers. And the guy, you know, nobody would say anything. It just, you know, it's Edward James Olmos, he's playing his music, leave him alone. And then I think Katie was the only one that really complained. Like about the fourth or fifth day, she goes, "Can we change the music?" I go, "No. It's my music, it's Adama's music." And she goes, "I like it, but, you know, can we try some?" I said, "No, we can't. You don't understand. We're about to go in front of camera into a space where you need to be totally focused and understanding of what you're doing." So, and I was really radical. I mean, I did not let them change music. lo and behold, we're doing this, now we start into the production. Of course, we do the So Say We All, which was the very first thing that we did as a group. The first scene that we did were little scenes, at the beginning of the day was between Baltar and 6. They did some scenes individually and together. And then right after lunch, we did the big So Say We All scene. And that was like the first time we were all together standing in front of the camera together as a family. And so we had to get it together. And then I said, wow, this is really going to be hard. So of course I was playing the music. And we cut and we went through the whole thing of the So Say We All thing. And everybody went nuts and the producers went crazy. They said, oh my God. And people were screaming on the set. It really moved all of us. It moved us all to a point of where it moved you to tears. It was very, very emotional. And it was the very first scene we were doing. So about a week into it, I go to Michael Reiner, who's directing the piece. And I said to Michael, how's it going? Can I see some of the dailies? He says, of course, come into my editing room. And so we went into the editing room. The editor, who was a phenomenal editor, she ended up saying, you know, the only thing is that I don't have the music yet. This first thing she says, you know, I'm going to play this, but I have not been able to find the music. So I put it on. I put the music on, contrary to the very first time that Leoben and I have a fight inside the sugar mill. That's what it was, actually sugar mill, but inside that Ragnar station. So we're having the fight. So I put this music on, and both Michael and the editor were like stunned because it worked like if she had cut to the music. She says, I usually cut to music, and I don't have my music. I don't have my music yet. And I said, I put it on. And I tell you right there, Diva Pramal made this show happen. Because then I played it for the Powers That Be. I told them to buy the album. I said, you should buy this album and use all of this music. I think we used 2 or 3 songs. I know that on the death scene, what's her name?
The priestess.
She sings. Yeah. She ends up singing the song, one of her songs, one of the old mantras. She sings it, we all sing it with her. And so we used that. So you asked me the question, I gave it a very long one. I start with music, and I start with a script, so there you go.
Diva's getting an invite to the next DragonCon.
She's been extraordinary.
Good morning, all. So I will admit that I was reluctant to sample the show in the beginning because Battlestar Galactica had such a campy connotation to me from the original series. But once I did, I realized how smart and sophisticated it was, and I got hooked in, and I try to tell everyone that I know that they should look beyond maybe their preconceptions about sci-fi, because it's such a smart show. Now, I look at what the SYFY network is putting on.
The SYFY?
Yeah, I don't want to say sci-fi.
Because it's not?
Yeah, it's changed. So, you know, the Shark of the Week show. And I sort of wonder, you are all such a part of such a great, as I said, sophisticated, smart, dark, culturally relevant show, and do you think there's room for that on TV anymore? Is there an audience for smart sci-fi? And what do you think the legacy of your show is in terms of influence on shows to come?
Oh, they need it like never before, I think. You know, with privacy issues, and it's that whole 1984. Not to be paranoid about it, but those themes are very prevalent, aren't they? So I think it's time for something really probing.
Oh, yeah, I think that what happened, we discussed this yesterday.